Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan marhaban bikum. Welcome everyone to Behind the Scenes Wednesday night with Mufti Rahman and myself, Abdullah Waheed. And we are truly blessed and honored that people from all across the country, all across the world, are tuning in to learn the Quran and what's happening behind the scenes. And that's what we're trying to cover. So Mufti Abdul Rahman is here, sitting at Miftaah headquarters. I'm coming to you live from the beautiful city of Flint, Michigan. And I hope everyone is well. Families are well. And they're staying quarantined, staying safe, inshallah. And tonight, inshallah, we've covered multiple surahs in the past. Surah Alaq, Iqra. We've covered Muzammil, Mudathir. And now we're going to discover and expose another inspiring, very vital surah that was revealed early to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And why are these surahs very important? Because remember, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is receiving revelation, he's not a general yet. He's still in the early stages. He's dealing with the opposition, the opposing people in Mecca. And these surahs are heavy surahs that came down in the most difficult time of denial of the Prophet's message. Very few people were actually convinced that he was a prophet. And now he's getting slandered. He's being the character assassination upon him. We've covered that he was called Sahir and Kahin, a magician and a sorcerer. We're going to hear something else today, and that these are things that anyone that is pious, anyone that's righteous is going to go through in life. We're also going to learn the standard of character that is going to be demonstrated tonight from the Prophet's life and his seerah. And this is the Quran speaking to us. So we're going to have a great time tonight. And I hope everyone is enjoying it so far. I've seen some people joining us from South Africa, Cape Town. I know it's winter there, and I think it's early morning there. Is it daytime there? And people from Kenton are here. Welcome, brothers and sisters from Kenton. We have Toronto. I don't know how they say it. Toronto. People say it different. So they're here. And wherever you're from, brothers and sisters, please type your city, your country. And so we know that there's some light that's being reflected to your town, in your village, in your community. Welcome, Mufti Abdul Rahman. What's going on?
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're doing good, Bajan. Thank you for introducing everyone, introducing our behind the scenes series. Man, it's been too long, one whole week.
I know. I don't see you enough. And we were so used to, I'm telling you, we were spoiled seeing you every single night in Ramadan. And then sometimes the last 10 nights, we got to see each other. I got spoiled seeing you so much. And honestly, I was so fortunate. Now we're seeing each other once a week, and then you tantalize me with your Iqbaliyat, Ash'ar, the poetry of Allama Iqbal.
Why do you have to make those facial expressions for?
Whenever I say Iqbal's name, there's something happens to me. I just, but I don't even. I only understand some of the poems because Persian I don't understand. Urdu, me, I'm the white Desi American. So Ingrez ka bacha. So I understand some of it, but I love the Iqbal poems that you say.
Inshallah, hopefully we have something to say today. I don't have anything in my mind, but if it comes up, we'll say something, inshallah.
So we have people from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. We have Windsor, Orlando, Florida. That's amazing. People in Orlando finally have some guidance because Disney's closed down. But I know the people in Orlando are beautiful people, and I love coming to Orlando. Whenever I visit Orlando, beautiful Muslim community. Rochester, Pakistan, Zindabad. We have people from Pakistan here, Mufti Sahab. So we have a lot of people from all across the world.
Mount Pleasant, Michigan. I mean, we're from Michigan, but we don't know anyone from. We have to see. One of these days, we're going to meet the Mount Pleasant Michigan community, inshallah.
So someone just said that Disney just opened up. It's opened up for basketball players like me. We're coming there. I know Disney has opened up, and they have these waitlisted 1 month. Mufti Sahab, tickets are sold for the next month.
How do you know all these details?
Because me and Mickey, Mickey.
Chua.
Me and the Chua go back. I always have Chuas, Chua, me and the Chua go back in the days. I used to chase the Chua with my chappal. Yeah,
And
okay.
they're asking us if we're brothers. Yes, we are brothers. So that tells us we have some new audience. So yes,
Mhm.
we are brothers. He's my older brother.
No, oh no, no, you shouldn't have told them. I shouldn't have told them. We could ask them if they can guess, but
No, no,
you
no,
told them already.
no. You're
You,
Baijan. Baijan means older, respected older brother.
you know what happened when someone asked Abbas, who's older, you or the Prophet? Abbas was born 3 years before Amil Feed, which makes him 3 years older than the Prophet ﷺ. And someone asked him, who's older? He said, Ana asannu minhu wa huwa akbaru minni. He said, by age I'm older, but he is more senior. He's an elder. So I say the same thing about you, Mufti Abdul Rahman. By age I got some game on you, but mashallah, knowledge and wisdom wise, you do have the turf on your
No,
side.
no, no. We got it's all inspiration from you, Baijan.
Let's go. Bismillah, Mufti Sahib, what's going on?
Alhamdulillah, we've been in the behind the scenes theme for everyone who's listening and watching and staying up to date with what we're doing, is that we go behind the scenes of surahs. We just give you a background of the verses, and we usually when we do this, we tie into the seerah, we tie into tafsir, and we tie into the reasons of revelation, and we're doing this in the order of revelation. Now we spoke about Surah Alaq, Surah Muddathir, Surah Muzammil. And now today we have the fourth surah that we want to discuss with the audience and discuss with each other, inshallah. And this surah, of course, now what happens as we're going to continue in this journey, inshallah, for as long as we can, as long as we have the energy and we can continue to inspire, we will start noticing that it's not, surahs don't come down together. There are only very few surahs that came down at once, the entire surah, but rather there are verses within surahs that came down at once. And sometimes many years later, the other verses from that surah came down. So today we're going to focus on some of the first few verses of Surah Qalam. And I mean, we're gonna attempt to get to a section of Surah Qalam that I'm not sure if we can, but we will try to get to the ayah Inna balawnahum kama balawna ashab al-jannah, which is verse number 16 up till there. Now,
Wow, that's a lot of verses.
there's a lot of short verses. There's short verses, and Makki surahs have a very rhythmatic theme to it. So it's inshallah, if you understand it, next time you hear it, it'll give you a different feeling, right? Once you understand what's going on in the surah. So that's the surah we're going to be doing today. It's called Surah Qalam, and some also refer to as the Surah Noon because it starts with the letter Noon. So this is the surah. Now, what's going on behind the scenes right now? Just Bajan, what's going on at that time in Mecca? So we have the first, you see, early on in the Prophet's Nubuwah, the first 3 years you can say. Now I'm just going to put years down so people understand. So there was 13 years in Mecca, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first 3 years of Nubuwah, there was less of physical abuse. There was more mental and emotional abuse. Before they get to the physical side, there was more of calling names, just slandering, you could say character assassination. This is what was going on. Now we heard this but we heard some of it in Surah Alaq. We heard about it in Mudathir. We heard about it in Muzammil. Now the first slogan that the Prophet ﷺ was referred to as was not Sahir or Kahin, right? That was not the first one people called him. That slogan's mentioned in Surah Qalam. So there was this in the look, when something goes viral, people are confused.
Mm-hmm.
When TikTok came out, what happened to you, Bajan?
TikTok?
Yeah.
I started eating more TikTok.
Wait, you're corny, man. You're corny. Okay. So when something goes viral, what's going on? People in Makkah are like, what's going on here? This man was a great person. All of a sudden, now our families are getting disunited. There's all this, there's words that are being spoken. There's children that are leaving their homes. There's some secret stuff going on. They don't know what's going on right now. It's just like they just know something is going on, and they're trying to get
There's
to
movement. There's movement.
There's movement. They're trying to get to the bottom of it. So they do a couple of things in Surah Qalam. There's only a couple of things mentioned, and we only have a short period of time with all of us. The first thing that's mentioned is about the character assassination, and the second thing that's mentioned is these people behind the scenes. What was happening was they were trying to negotiate terms with the Prophet ﷺ. They There's a lot of negotiation, compromise. Okay, this happens with us all the time. Today we're not going to have Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Utbah, and Shayba negotiating with us, but the people and the systems of batil will continue to negotiate and make us compromise. Right? Okay, hide your identity. It's okay. You want to be a Muslim, is fine, but you don't have to wear it on your sleeve. Right? These type of things are happening till this day. So what does Allah say about this? And this is what was going on in those 3 years in Mecca right now, behind the scenes. There was a bunch of negotiations going on. Let's make him do this. Let's present this to him, and let's call him this. Let's see if we can change and rattle this person. And this is what happens to a believer who wants to be, the reverts that happens with them. People who are accepted Islam a long time, people who are born as Muslims. This is what goes on mentally in our lives, right? There's systems that are out there that will put us down. Okay, if you have a beard, this is gonna. If you wear hijab, if you go out, if you show your identity. I remember, traveling from Dallas, Texas to Michigan, and I was praying Salah in the airport in a corner. Of course, I was not saying adhan out loud and making it known that I was there. I'm not going to make a scene there, but I was just praying Salah in the corner, and an uncle and auntie came to me, and uncle says to me, Berta, it's because of people like you that Muslims are getting a bad name in this country. Why don't you go pray when you go home, right? Don't have to show everyone you're Muslim. You don't have to wear your Islam on your sleeve. Go home and do it. Allah's going to forgive you if you pray, Asr at nighttime. Allah knows you're traveling. Now, this type of compromise, like, how do you get to a point where you don't want to, you fall prey of that negotiation terms, not done by individuals, but now it's done by systems, by the society, right? So this is what was going on behind the scenes, and then Allah reveals this surah. So let's go. Let's go. Why don't you read the first few verses, Bajan? If you can read till ayah number, at least if you can read till ayah number 9. Ayah number 9 is good.
I think the audience was going to have me want to read the whole entire surah. Once they hear the voice coming out. So you want me to read to ayah number 9?
If you can, if you want to read to ayah number 16. It's even
No. I'm just 9, 10.
We want to love you. We would love you hearing your voice, Bajan.
No, just do a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نون والقلم وما يسطرون ما أنت بنعمة ربك بمجنون وإن لك لأجرا غير ممنون وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم فستبصر ويبصرون بأيكم المفتون إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين فلا تطع المكذبين ودوا لو تدهن فيدهنون صدق الله العظيم.
ما شاء الله. Jazakallah khair. Beautiful, Bajan.
وإياكم. I love this surah, Mufti Abdul Rahman. It's a very beautiful surah, very soothing surah.
Very soothing, very soothing.
Yeah. So, did you tell them? You want to tell them about the negotiations? You can tell them later.
It's in verse number 9.
Okay, so you're gonna wait till number 9.
Yeah. So the beginning starts with the character assassination, right? So let's start with the first verse. Okay, but you want to start, or shall I start?
I think the first word in the surah, it's up for debate. It's beautiful. This would be the first revelation that comes down that people don't know what the first word means. Think about it, right?
Yeah.
Iqra, we know what it means. Ya ayyuhal muzammil, we have an idea. Muzammil, mudaththir. Now comes the surah, Noon. What's going on here? No one knows what it means. So Arabs, people don't, you ever sitting in a speech or a lecture and there's a word that's used, you don't know what it means? And you're a smart person?
It happens to me all the time. I'm sitting in your gathering. You have those that thesaurus over there.
You listen to those expanded words that I use in my articulation?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do. It gets me every time.
So you gotta have a dictionary all around. You gotta have a dictionary with you all the time. Just ask Siri. Siri will tell you. Siri ko pata. So you hear a word like, what's that word? And you read, when you're reading, you come across the word. You read a lot of English, Arabic literature, Arabic in Urdu literature. You read a word like, what's that word? So for interest in people who are intelligent, intellectual people, they get very it triggers their mind, like, what's going on here? And then the purpose of these words are to let people know that there's certain things that you don't know. It's a concept of arrogance that I feel like some of it's the concept of knowing the absence of knowledge, knowing what we don't know. We want to fill that gap in. But sometimes there's certain things we will never know, and we have to humble ourselves in front of those things, and that's what happens where Allah says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. It doesn't matter how much we know little. So noon is one of those words that only Allah knows what they mean. Yes, scholars have come out saying it means the help of Allah. وَمَن نَصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. It means, the help of God. It could mean noon. There's some certain letters in Arabic that are soothing, and noon is one of those words that give you psychological comfort from a psychological perspective. I don't go all psychological on you, So there's some of these words in English and Urdu, and in Arabic also. When you read those words, when you hum these lyrics, it's soothing. They're soft words. Noon, and I talked about this meme, lam. Noon is one of those soothing words coming in a very difficult time, and now, Mufti Sahib, it's an oath, qasam, wal qalam. Allah is taking oath by the pen. Not only with the pen, and what the pen is writing.
So two things, two oaths at the same time. So what oath with the pen and what the pen is writing.
Yeah. So this pen is no joke. What is this pen? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking an oath with a pen? And you can tell us, Mufti Sahib, tell us a little bit of significance about the pen. Do you have anything in mind? You're a teacher, so you love the pen.
So there's a few things that Mufassirin mentioned. So we know what pen is being referred to over here, and what writing is being referred to over here, right?
Yep.
And usually when you have they, like this, this pronoun they, there's always the one that's being referred to that comes first, and then they comes. Like, so you can say the children came home, they went to sleep, right?
Yeah.
But over here, it's they right away. So that there's no like which they are they talking about? Noon wal qalam wa ma yasturun, and what they write. So what who's this they that's being spoken about here? So Allah left this as a subject to interpretation. Okay. And it could mean multiple things. Number one, of course, it could mean which, and we're not going to talk about all of them. One is, I take oath in the pen and the writing of the angels as they're writing your good and bad deeds. Because that's a fact that it's happening, right?
Okay, so it's happening right now.
It's happening, right? That's a fact. And so it's being written, right? What we're doing, what we're saying. So that's one. The second one is, of course, the pen. The first thing that Allah created was the pen, right?
Ooh, you got to tell them that.
No.
أول شيء خلق الله تبارك وتعالى القلم. The first thing that was created was the pen.
Absolutely.
ثم قال له اكتب. Allah said to the pen, write. The pen says to Allah, ماذا أكتب? What should I write? Allah said, اكتب مقادير الخلائق حتى تقوم الساعة. Write down every single thing that's going to happen till the day of judgment. Now that brings up a lot of discussions, right? The qalam is where our destiny, our fate, our belief is that everything has been predestined. So qalam is a very big deal. It's like basically Allah is swearing by every single thing that is going to happen that has happened. That's exactly. A big, like, so imagine Allah says, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِمَا تُبْصِرُونَ وَمَا لَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Allah takes oath by what you see and what you don't see, right? بِرَبِّ الْمَشَارِقِ وَالْمَغَارِبِ. Everything is encompassed in this one ayah. Allah is taking an oath by humans, by jinns, by structures, by atoms, by protons, by planets, by galaxies. Every single thing the pen wrote, Allah takes oath by. It's a huge oath.
Yep.
You think about it?
Yeah. So you have so that's the second interpretation of it, that one was angels writing, one is that, second is whatever has been written already and everything that comes in it, right? One interesting thing within is what's written in tafsir is beautiful, like an explanation as well, is like that they're calling the next ayah talks about how the non-Muslims, the people of Mecca, were calling the Prophet Majnoon. And Allah is saying, because Yasturun is a mudari' verb, right? So mudari' means
Present
something that's
future.
happening now and in the future.
Mhm.
So Allah is saying, what is going to be written about this man that you're calling crazy? The future will set the record straight.
Ooh, I never looked at it that way. That's good.
Okay, all those from this Quran and from this Prophet, millions and millions of books will be written. Millions of poems will be spoken and memorized and written. Millions of passages. And ما إن مدحت محمد بمقالتي ولكن مدحت محمد بقلبي مدحت مقالتي بمحمد, right? Like everyone's gonna try to write praises about the Prophet ﷺ, and they're attempting to do it. But then what's the poet saying? He's saying, look, I have not elevated the Prophet's praise by writing in his praise, but my words and my content has been elevated by adding the Prophet's name in it. Right? So like that is another way of looking at it. Allah is saying, well, my student, just they might be calling you crazy, but we'll see what happens in the future. Because later on Allah says, فَسَتُبْصِرُ وَيُبْصِرُونَ. So it connects, right? You connect, like they will see, for you will see, and they will see what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, right? So that's another element of this وَمَا يَسْطُرُونَ, and I think we'll leave it at that.
I have so much. I want to talk about so much about the qalam. I just want to tell the audience that we need to respect any instrument that we take knowledge from.
Yeah.
Even the pen. Scholars had always revered the pen. Today, we find stationery on the at the hallways of schools, all across the home. Pens are the pen is stronger than the sword. The ink of a scholar is heavier than the blood of a martyr. يوزن مداد العلماء على دم الشهداء. The ink of a scholar will be weighed, and the blood of a martyr will be weighed on the judgment. فيرجح مداد العلماء على دم الشهداء. The ink of a scholar, a student of knowledge, will be heavier than the blood of a martyr. Now we all talk about martyr, shaheed, shuhada, بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. So we need to understand the value of the pen. At the same time, we also understand that everything is written, so there's nothing to cry over, right, Mufti Sahab? Things are written. It's what's meant to happen is going to happen. وَأَعْلَمْ أَنَّ مَا أَخْطَأَكَ لَمْ يُكُنْ لِيُصِيبَكَ. You don't cry over who you married. You married them now.
That's why you have to give that example for.
But people like I could have married that other proposal that came. Yeah. No, you couldn't. Whatever has been set has been set. And I'm not saying there's no way out of a difficulty. There is, but to believe in it and be pleased with it is part of our faith.
Yeah.
It helps us psychologically if we believe in qadr. Like, okay, this was someone died. It was, we can go back and blame the doctors, blame you, blame me, blame the weather, blame the car, blame the police officer, the paramedics. But death came, and the person has left this world. So qadr really helps out dealing with so much of our pain if we believe in Allah that everything good and bad has been already predestined. That's
perfect. That's amazing. So you have Noon wal Qalam wa ma yasturun. We haven't even started the next verse yet.
Next, go ahead, Mufti Sahab.
And then go ahead, but you say the verse.
Ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika bi majnun.
And O Prophet of Allah, you through the ni'mah, through the mercy of Allah, through the bounty of Allah, are not majnoon.
Oh my
That's
goodness!
What it means, right? You are not majnoon. Now think about that for a second, but like majnoon has two meanings, right? And there's another thing. I love how Shaykh Muhammad Masbari, when he spoke about loving the Prophet ﷺ and identifying him in the series, which was the top 10 series, and he spoke about the love for the Prophet ﷺ. Anyone wants to watch it can go watch it. It's on YouTube. And he spoke about the aspect of the Prophet being a human, and because of that you had love for him, like because he felt the same emotions, So now this ayah, these first few verses are coming down to comfort the Prophet ﷺ, right? Because people, imagine he's being called crazy, right? So now you can call. That's why teachers are told and parents are told not to call their kids with negative titles. Okay, you're crazy. That kid's better than you. Tumne zindagi mein kya kiya? What did you do? And you say dumb, beokoof, majnoon, all these different words you use.
Nakamma.
Like all these different titles. And it's the opposite in Islam to give. And so what happens, it can have a psychological effect, everlasting effect on these people for the rest of their life. And the Prophet ﷺ is a human being, and he's hearing that people are calling him crazy all of a sudden. And Majnun doesn't just mean crazy; it also means a person who's has a jinn attack, right? From jinn, right? He's like he's being influenced by jinnat, and they get in damag mein khushki ho gaya, like that there's some dryness in this person's head. So imagine he's being told this, and he's being comforted directly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying, no, through the mercy of your Lord, you're good.
Yep.
You're good.
Anybody that knows anything about psych, right, and has gone to the psychiatric ward and he knows mental health, a lot of times we have people that we have no diagnosis for. Like, what happened? Just saying random things, and when they start saying random people start saying random things and they have no answer to it. They're like, oh man, he's possessed. That's what they're saying to the Prophet ﷺ. Basically, they're calling him crazy. He should be sent to a mental institute. If he was walking in our country and speaking to our people, like, who is this guy calling to one God and telling us to believe in the next life? And he's saying poetry. Like, who is he? And Mufti Sahib, one of the most insulting things to say to somebody is to call them insane. Few times people call people insane. One is because they have some mental disorder. May Allah give them shifa. Qulu ameen. And mental health is real. And you can have a mental health issue even if you're pious, even if you're a good Muslim. So many people who pray salah, fast, they go through so many challenges in life, and it becomes a medical diagnosis. It's a medical issue, just like there is other medical problems, and people have other challenges. And may Allah give shifa. People don't focus on that, but that is something that we need to concern and talk about. But but the thing is, when you call your mom crazy, people call them, mom, you're crazy. When do you call people crazy? Sometimes one is that when they're actually lost their mind, because of mental health, and they're gone insane. Second is when you do not understand what they're saying, and you try to belittle them, and like you belittle them, right there you call them crazy. Like, oh, this guy is just like, he's speaking too much, like speaking out of like, when like Jim Carrey, he started speaking all like philosophical. He's a comedian. He's a comedy actor. All of a sudden, he started talking about like cosmos and reincarnation, and you're living in this space and this place, and there's no other space.
You have this really amazing way of changing the way you speak, like on the fly. Like you were just
honestly. Like, they do this, like, now this guy's speaking all like he's probably read some book on some life purpose and philosophical life purpose of life. People are like, man, this guy crazy, he's gone mad, he's just saying crazy things. We hear that about Elon Musk, this guy, who was talking about SpaceX and all these crazy ideas, like we're gonna take human civilians to outer space and do all these things. People are like, no way, this guy's mad. I'm sure Michael Jordan, he's probably said things like, no way, this is not possible. Someone said there's gonna be a phone, there's gonna be a smartphone, it's gonna talk to you, it's gonna navigate you, everything is gonna be there. 20 years ago, you guys are like, no way this is possible. So sometimes when someone speaks out of their level, they call them crazy. Not because he's crazy, it's just the crowd doesn't have the intellect to comprehend the mentality and the ideology and the capacity of this person. He's not crazy. It's just people don't have it. And that's where I say the Prophet ﷺ was just smart and very clever. He was ahead of the game. The other thing, Mufti Sahib, is that when you want to diffuse any form of ignorance in your life, you just say, this guy's crazy. Like you, to defend yourself, you call them crazy. Like, I don't want to believe in him, so he's crazy. Like someone is fighting with you, you don't want to argue back. What do people say? Pagale, chordo. Like, so what people start doing when someone calls the Prophet crazy, nobody wants to listen to him anymore. He's saying great things, great message, and they're calling the Prophet crazy. So this word is so powerful. It's insulting to call someone to belittle. I think this is one of the most insulting things they call the Prophet ﷺ, to call a sane, smart, intelligent person. Qadi Iyaz says, if all the intellect of the world was put together, they will not come compared to the Prophet's intellect, would not be even equal to a mustard seed. That's how smart the Prophet ﷺ was. And they're calling this unbelievable person mad. How insulting is that? I mean, if someone called my dad crazy, I would be insulted. My mother crazy, I would be insulted. What the children of the Prophet are going through, that their fathers being called crazy. So this is very insulting in all aspects. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is comforting him. And what happens, Mufti Sahib, the next ayah is going to tell us this. When someone is crazy, how is their character?
When someone is crazy, their character is usually azim. Like, so,
No, like it doesn't. They don't. When someone is mad, right?
yeah.
They don't demonstrate the best character.
Yeah, of course, they usually react negatively. But
When
the
someone's
Prophet is
driving, when someone's driving, like a crazy
like
person
me,
on the
just
highway.
like me.
No, you're a good driver, mashallah. But someone driving mad on the highway, what do we call? Crazy driver.
Yeah.
Someone is on the park doing saying radical racist things, right? He's Islamophobic statements. He's crazy, man. Just like, he probably didn't take his meds or something, So like, just leave him alone. Imagine when we associate a deficiency in mental health, it also links to their character. And that also speaks, the more mentally you are stable, the more character you have. Let's go into that. Come on, let's go ahead.
So basically, now one of the things you highlighted was the reason it was an easy way out. Just call him crazy, call him insane. Something happened to him, so that we don't have to listen to him. Anyone who comes in, even usually crazy people will, like, if someone has a crazy business idea, they'll say, man, he's a great business idea, but this is beyond me right now. It doesn't make sense to everybody. The Prophet speaking about something, it doesn't make sense to people, right? But at this point, what's the most important thing, which parents don't do with kids, what educators like you and I sometimes don't do with our students, is maybe the student has a great idea, and we say, you know what, this is not, don't worry about, don't try, and we crush people's ambitions. And Allah is telling us the divine way is He's supporting the Prophet, letting him know you're not crazy by saying that one day Islam is going to spread all over the world. You're not insane by saying these things. You're not insane by saying that there's only one ilah. You're not insane by saying this was the millah of Ibrahim as-salam. So that's what He's doing. He's comforting him and giving him he's giving him strength, and he's giving him, and at this point, he's giving him strength. At this point, that's saying, no, you're not crazy. Everything is fine, and this is through the mercy of your Lord. Ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika majnoon. And then what's the next ayah, Bajan? Go ahead.
وَإِنَّ لَكَ لَأَجْرًا غَيْرَ مَمْنُونٍ.
Now Allah says, and for you there is a reward that will never end. وَإِنَّ لَكَ لَأَجْرًا غَيْرَ مَمْنُونٍ. Right? It's a never-ending reward. So a perpetual reward. So and this tells us, what is this reward for? And the Mufassirin said this reward was, when a lot of times when you want to encourage someone to do something, you tell them the reward, the benefits of it. Look, get done this is what's going to happen. You just get done your step one, you'll be chilling the rest of your life. Or we have someone from Toledo over here, just get done your MCAT and you'll be okay for the rest of your life. Okay,
you get married. Shadi ho jayegi.
So just get done this. Allah is giving him the promise by the work, through the message that you're conveying, through your effort, through your sacrifice, through the hardships that you're going through. You will be rewarded in such a manner that even after you pass away, the reward will continue onwards. So this is the same thing for us. There are some good deeds that we will do in our lives that will outlive our lifespan. And it will continue to bless us in our graves. It will continue to bless us on the Day of Judgment. And we will not even know where we're getting this reward from, but it was because of something we did that was not munqati. It was غير ممنون. It kept on going. It kept on blessing us. So Allah make us among those who can leave those deeds over here in our lifetime, and we can harvest from that in akhirah. So Allah says, وَإِنَّ لَكَ الْأَجْرَ غَيْرَ مَمْنُونٍ وَإِنَّ لَكَ عَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Then Allah says, and verily you are upon khuluq azim. What does khuluq azim mean? What does the word azim actually mean? Now, azim, it doesn't usually come for like azma. Azma means something that's great and impressive. And azma also means something that's stable and firm. That's why the bone is called azm. It's stable, right? It's firm. So a person who has khuluq azim is a person who is, he has akhlaq that are very impressive, but at the same time, he's very firm. It doesn't really matter what this person's put through. He doesn't change. They say this person changed. Rang badal liya usne, right? Right? Like he would, after so long now, he's like, okay, finally we broke him. Azim is a person whose character and resolve cannot be broken. Ali bin Abi Talib was asked, we know what khuluq al-hasan means. It means good character. What does khuluq al-azim mean? And he said, interesting thing. He said, it is to inculcate all the adab that are mentioned in the Quran. It is to have them in your life. Be an embodiment of all the etiquettes that are mentioned in the Quran. So meaning when all the beautiful traits that Allah says these are beautiful traits and etiquettes of a believer. He or she does this, he or she does this, he or she doesn't do this. When you have this is called khuluq azim, and the Prophet ﷺ had khuluq azim, as we know through his demonstrated through his life when these things came, surfaced about him. What does Anas bin Malik want to say about the Prophet's akhlaq, Bajan?
Oh, ما مسست ديباجا. He says, خدمت رسول الله 10 سنين. I served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years. فما لامني قط. This is the servant who served of this. I served him for 10 years. And imagine a 10-year-old working in your house. He's gonna make mistakes. He's gonna run around, drop something. He dropped so many things, and the women would criticize him, like the Prophet said, leave it, don't. No, he said, فما لامني قط وما قال لي أف, and never criticized me. It's such a beautiful personality. And and he taught that to his Sahaba. He says, ما مسست جباجا ولا حرين ألين من كف رسول الله. I never touched any hands, I never touched any cloth, any silk softer than the palms of the Prophet ﷺ. وما شممت راحية أطيب من راحية رسول الله. I did not smell any fragrance more beautiful than the fragrance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So sallallahu alaihi wasallam was وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He was ala. Mufti, can you talk about ala a little bit?
Ala means to be upon something, right?
Istiwa, discussion.
Yeah, it's not when you're upon something, like when you have control over something, you say rakibtu ala al-farasi, right?
So you control the horse.
You controlled it now. It's called ala. Like you have to. The akhlaq etiquettes are such a thing. Like for example,
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying you so much that I'm enjoying my chai. This is my dream life. Listening to you talk about وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ and have some nice doodh pate.
You're drinking doodh patti?
This time at night, my brain is kind of turning a little bit.
So we don't want to make sure that we don't, our explanation doesn't go beyond someone. So we're gonna just keep it simple. It's like when you're upon something, that means that Allah is saying that you have mastered those qualities, you have mastered those traits. So with akhlaq and etiquettes, there's a learning curve, right? So for example, tolerance. You can read books about tolerance, but really you have to be put in a situation where you have to be tolerant in order for you to master that, right? So you can read about horse riding, but you're not going to be able to actually master horse riding until you ride a horse. And then once you ride the horse and you know how to control the horse, that's when you say rakibtu ala al-farasi, ala, that word comes. So that's what akhlaq is all about.
I know one institution that can really help. You have Miftaah Institute, MI Institute, all these institutions that you operate, but there's one institution that can help modify or actually destroy someone's character. You know what that is?
I don't want to guess. Go ahead.
Shadi, marriage. That's where a person's true character comes out. خِيَارُكُمْ خِيَارُكُمْ لِأَهْلِكُمْ. The best amongst you in character is the one who shows character to his wife, to their spouse, how they talk, how they speak. So I want you to talk about character a little bit. I want to ask you a question, Mufti Sahib. I know you want to go tafsir. What is your favorite?
So that's the thing. Like the word khuluq comes from khalaq. You're dealing with khalaq makes your khuluq. You're dealing with khalaq, the makhluk, with the creation around you, not just human beings. You're dealing with the khalaq makes up your khuluq, right? So today, and what's interesting about this, Bajan, is the Quran hasn't even been revealed to the Prophet yet. This is early on in his prophethood, and Allah Himself is praising the Prophet, right?
Wow, it really has good character.
Meaning he was worthy of receiving these words, and it was an embodiment of. And he's so like if you look at it and say, okay,
I never looked at it that way. You're right. That's just so early.
No, it's early on, and he's praising his character. So what's missing today is not the words. It's not it's not policies. It's not the knowledge. It's not financial stability. It's not manpower. What really is missing today is people of khuluq, that have the moral ethics of Islam and deen. And if we had that, then you could, then you are worthy of receiving the book of Allah. And now through your character, people don't change through words, they change through character, Bajan. We've seen that throughout our entire life. So Allah is praising the Prophet's character before anything even started. And that's why he had such an impact on those around him, was because they interacted with him as a human being, right? That's why you're dealing with khalaq, the makhluk, it makes up your khuluq. And that's why Allah is saying, wa innaka la'ala khuluqin azim. Allah Prophet is saying, oh Mu'adh, make sure you perfect your dealing with people when he's leaving. This is the last advice one of the last advice he's given to Mu'adh bin Jabal. So there's a lot of ahadith about akhlaq and developing your character, but we just want to just take you behind and just let inform.
I would like the audience to chip in. Mufti, what is your best story on the Prophet's display of character? Do you have anything in mind?
I mean,
an incident, or maybe a personality that you enjoyed the most.
Okay, listen, honestly, we don't have much time, but I believe the story that caught my eye early on in my life, and I mentioned it over and over again because death is something that, I have a very soft heart, and when I find out that someone's loved one passed away, it hurts me in a much different way than it hurts others. I have a very soft spot for this.
You're soft.
No, for this aspect, And imagine here the Prophet is in Medina, and his daughter is in Mecca, Zainab. And now after the Prophet migrates to Medina, he's writing letters to his daughter, who stays in Mecca, because you're the one in Surah, because her husband was not Muslim at that time.
Abdul bin Rabi'a.
And so he writes letters, and after Badr he says, could you please, we heard about the necklace of Khadija, and he sees it and he starts crying. That's what Zainab gave as a ransom for her husband, and when he sees it, can you please return it? This is what my wife Khadija gave to my daughter upon her marriage. Now, long story short, now Zainab anha is coming on a journey to Medina doing hijrah, and imagine the Prophet's joy and happiness and and excitement to meet his daughter after all these years. He missed her because she reminded him the most of Khadija, and we know how much he loved Khadija. Sadiq was Akbar and Khadija was Kubra, right? Among the males it was Akbar was Sadiq, and among the females it was Kubra. Khalas, we know that. So here we have, Zainab coming, and all of a sudden the people of Mecca, they put a ransom on the head of Zainab and said, whoever can kill her and bring her back, we're gonna give this and this and that. And Hibad ibn Aswad goes and he attempts to assassinate. My voice is echoing a bit. Can you hear it echo?
I can hear you perfectly, Mufti Sahib.
He goes and he shoots an arrow or spear at the camel of Zainab anha, and she falls off and she gets injured, and she actually has a miscarriage. She was pregnant at that time. Now, of course, we know that in Sirah we find out that she actually, when the Prophet met her, the Prophet saw her in a state of, she was already injured, right? And imagine the grief, man, the grief. You were expecting to see your daughter come in with this beautiful reception, she's coming and I'm gonna finally meet her. And now he sees her that she's bedridden. She can't even move. She had a miscarriage. La ilaha illallah. Okay. And now he sees her in that situation. And now, of course we know that she passed away, that injury, she never really recovered from that injury. So she passed away because of that injury in the wound. And the Prophet buries her. And many years later, a person walks into the masjid who was veiled, and he asked, who are you? And he was Hibad ibn Aswad. And how the Prophet dealt with him, and he forgave him, and he put his hand in his hand and he made him accept Islam. That to me just resonated so in my heart for the rest of my life. How can a man just for the sake of deen, for the sake of Allah, for him being a human, can forget about these things? For it happened, but you're being rescued from the fire of Jahannam is far more important to me than my emotions. So that's some of the one of the stories that resonate with me for the rest of my life.
It's under the most common tafsir will have the discussion where Aisha radiallahu anha is asked, Su'ila an Aisha radiallahu anha, كيف كان خلق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, right? Ya al-Mu'mineen, the people would ask, Ya al-Mu'mineen, كيف كان خلق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And Aisha radiallahu anha would sometimes read, she would say, أما تقرأ سورة المؤمنون? Have you not read Surah Al-Mu'minun? قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون. All the way to verse number 10. That would be the Prophet's character. And sometimes she would say, كان خلقه القرآن. The character of the Prophet was it was the Quran. As whatever made Allah happy, made the Prophet happy. And whatever Allah wanted the Prophet to be good at, he was perfect at. Aisha radiallahu anha says, ما كان أحد أحسن خلقا من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Nobody had better character than the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. And then she says, why? This is huge. Giving attention to people. Today, we have such poor character with our own family that when we're talking to them, like you talk about this Mufti Sahib all the time, we don't look at them, we ignore them, we're looking at our phones, spouse is talking to a spouse, children talking to the parents, friends are talking to friends on their phones, ignoring them, just passive listening. ما دعاه أحد من أصحابه ولا من أهلي إلا قال لبيك. Allahu Akbar. Never did the Prophet ﷺ ever be called Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabi Allah, from his friends, from his companions, or his family. But he always said, Labbaik, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. You brought up this story of Badr and the necklace. I'm just going to share one part, Mufti Sahib. It was one of the, I why I'm sharing it, because in my Miftaah class, I'm doing families around the Prophet in my Miftaah class. So what I do is I talk about Abbas, his entire family, Abdullah bin Jahash, his entire family. I'll talk about Zubair and his Zainab and the husband, wife, and their children. So I'm not doing one
class.
Yeah, I'm doing like families around the Prophet, like how there were other members that we always talk about Abu Bakr, but there are other members that were also influencing the Prophet, some families around the Prophet. And books have been written about individuals around the Prophet, but I'm doing it from a family perspective. So in that, I did Abbas. And in the Abbas story, Mufti Sahib, Abbas was captured. And there's so many stories. Because you brought up Badr, I'm going to share this with you. I had nothing in mind to particularly talk about. But Mufti Sahib, imagine the Prophet's uncle, we talked about Abbas earlier, gets caught, right? He's a prisoner. And he's tied up in the camp of the prisoners. And one Sahabi says, Ya Rasulullah, I see you look restless. Ma laka la tanam? Why don't you rest? He said, Inni asma'u anina Abbas. I can hear the mourning of my uncle Abbas. He's tied up. I can't sleep. My uncle is asleep. My uncle is in pain. So the Sahabi, this is written in Rahmatul Alameen and so many versions, so many books. The Sahabi secretly gets up, and he leaves, and he comes back. He says, Ya Rasulullah, atlaqtu withaq. I loosened his rope. And I would, you would say, thank you very much. The Prophet ﷺ says, atliqu usara kulla. You need to loosen the rope of all the prisoners that just fought against me. Like fairness to the finest. He could have said, that's my uncle, and we treat him. We treat our relatives different. But the Prophet ﷺ would not even treat his enemies except if they were treated equally. That's how good. And when I saw this in a heated moment at nighttime, the Prophet couldn't sleep, but he made sure everyone was treated the same. That was the Prophet ﷺ. Everything about him was beautiful. Kids loved him. People loved him. Always smiling, and like we can go all, we talk about his character, but today, like you said, one of the things that we're missing in our society is character. Silman qata'ak. Those relatives that don't want to talk to you, you got to talk to them. That khala, that relative, those in-laws, those friends, those cousins, their brothers, sisters arguing, fighting, family members, people, years go by.
We have all these open wounds that never get healed. Someone said something to us, or our mother-in-law, or our sister-in-law, or some cousin, and it just never and really but then I don't know how to express this, right? Look, we can get away with a little ibadah, honestly.
Yep.
We can get away with it. We can honestly. I'm not going to mention mutun over here. Like
just say that.
Yeah, the heaviest of deeds in the day of judgment on their scales will be the good character. So you can get away with less. If there's something between you and Allah that you did wrong, Allah is forgiving. He's afw and safh is his qualities. Just letting you go, ignoring. That's Allah's qualities. But when it comes to hurting somebody else, Allah says, أَن تَحْبَطَ أَعْمَالُكُمْ أَنْتُمْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. That it's possible that you didn't even mean to do it, but you'll get punished for it. Because when it comes to hurting someone's feelings, people say like, I didn't mean to hurt her feelings though. That doesn't matter. You said it. You should have been more careful. You see what I'm saying? And that's why that's why for us it's an important thing to just ignore what happened. Here's the Prophet's akhlaq. That was the reason for it. If we want to be successful in our mission, in our life, we have a short life to live. And that's last week I mentioned this. I mentioned it over here. It's like what happens is I read this somewhere recently, that you're loved the day you're born,
Mhm.
and your love is shown to you after you die.
Correct.
And in the middle of your life, you just got to manage. Like, come on, like, why does that have to happen? Why, sometimes like,
But why do people show bad character? What's going on? Why are people mean to each other?
There's a lot of reasons for that, but one is to be, if they know, the more they know about the Prophet's character, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his life, his journey, the Quran is so powerful that I honestly think one of the key reasons is that we are distant from the Quran and the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The more we listen and hear about this, the better we can become, and that's why we have these series. So we learn this stuff. Allama Iqbal, he says something interesting about this. He says, in
I haven't heard Iqbal from you all day today. Come on.
I mean, just came to my head.
Knock my head off.
No, so Iqbal in Shikwa, he talks, he has this, this complaint that he gives to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, talking about his forefathers, and very lengthy poem and beautiful poem. I mentioned verses from Shikwa before, but in Jawab Shikwa, Allah replies, and in the words of Iqbal, and there's a few lines that are relevant to this, but I'll just mention a few extra ones too. He says, "Kaun hai tare ke aine Rasool Mukhtar, मसलहत वक्त की है किसके अमल का मयार, किसकी आंखों में समाया शिआर अगयार, हो गई किसकी निगाह तर्ज सलफ से बेजार, कल्ब में सोज नहीं, रूह में एहसास नहीं, कुछ भी पैगाम मोहम्मद का तुम्हें पास नहीं, जाके होते हैं मसाजिद में सफ आरा तो गरीब, जहमत रोज़ा जो करते हैं गवारा तो गरीब, नाम लेता है अगर कोई हमारा तो गरीब, पर्दा रखता है अगर कोई तुम्हारा तो गरीब." It's really a very, very in the way Iqbal puts it, it's just beautiful. I had to say the last few lines, but basically he says, look, what happened to you is you want the results and the results in the help of Allah that was with the Sahaba. You want that. That's what you're demanding. That's what you want. And for that, you're doing everything. But what you have done is you have left the path and the akhlaq and the methodologies of the Prophet and the Sahaba. And now, kiski aankhon mein hai samaya shi'ar aghyar. Now you're taking the route of others. Like, okay, tit for tat. Okay, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. No, that's not how it works. That's not how the Prophet was.
Nope.
You scratch my back, I scratch your back. That's not how it works. That's not the culture and the moral ethic of the Sahaba. They would give their lives to give a sip of water to somebody else. It's like you want the results and the help of Allah, but you have nothing of the akhlaq of the Prophet. Then he says, "Jake hote hain masajid mein saf ara." If there's the people that are going in the masajid and praying in sufuf and praying 5 times a day and doing the work of deen and calling people towards Allah, to gharib. It's the one that you don't consider significant. Is it the one who's taking zahmat roza jo karte hain gawara? The one who's suffering and going through the hardships and going house to house, masjid to masjid, or fasting, usually that's to gharib. It's the one that you don't think is significant. Naam leta hai agar koi hamara, to gharib. The one who's saying our name and calling us and crying at night, it's the one that you don't, he's not, or she is not significant in your eyes. It's that poor person. It's the one you don't have any consideration for. Parda rakhta hai agar koi tumhara. Allah is saying, if there's someone who's hiding your sins, and is a veil between my punishment coming to you, it's that gharib that's doing that to you.
بدأ الإسلام غريبا فسيعود غريبا فطوبى للغرباء.
Exactly.
Man, that was too much for me.
We have to go.
We got to go, but I think
later,
I just want to say one thing as we conclude. When it comes to other parts of the Prophet's character, in the sense like when you think about his, every time the Prophet ﷺ was doing something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had kind of told the Prophet ﷺ, slow down or take it easy, don't overwhelm yourself. For example, when it comes to the propagating the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the da'wah, Allah says to the Prophet, فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْكَ الْبَلَاغِ, your job is to convey the message. That's all your job. You're not. فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا. لست عليهم بمسيطر. Yeah. So it's basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comforting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when it comes to even praying tahajjud, we talked about this. قُمِ اللَّيْلَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Some scholars said that he was praying so much that Allah said pray little. It wasn't the opposite, where he was praying nothing and Allah is saying pray now. Right, Mufti Sahab?
Yeah.
Like he was praying a lot. Allah said, okay, this you can also pray little. Allah says, Taha, ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن تشقى. Oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even he read so much Quran, we didn't do this to overwhelm you. You right, Mufti Sahib? So when it came to his personal ibadah, his personal mission, and his personal conviction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet, you know, you could do it to a certain limit. Even with his generosity. This is a verse that always gets me. The Prophet was so generous that Allah had to tell the Prophet, you know, imagine Allah said, لا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك ولا تبسطها كل البسط فتقعد ملوما محسورا. You know, you don't spend where you're wasting, or don't be greedy where you're kind of, you're selfish, but don't spend it in a way that you are harming yourself.
Yeah.
You're jeopardizing. You don't have enough clothes to come out to pray with the Sahaba. So Allah said, take it easy on the infaq. You know, he was very generous. But when it comes to character, it tells me that this is a shabash from Allah. You know, keep on going. You know, like this is like amazing. Don't stop that. There's one thing we will never tell you to slow down on. One thing we will never tell you to, you know, you can do it sometimes. There's a compromise. One thing you could never compromise on is good character. And I want to conclude with people, good character is to smile, is to forgive those who do wrong to you, to ignore those who slander you and backbite about you, forgive them. Silman qata'ak, wa'fu man zalamak. Those who have done wrong to you, forgive them. You should call them. Just pick up the phone and say, you know, I did wrong. I'm sorry. Go ahead. وَأَحْسِنْ مَنْ أَسَاءَ إِلَيْكَ. Those who are treating you wrong, treat them good. Who cares? Who cares if they ever appreciate you? Just do it because you're from the followers of the Prophet ﷺ. And husband and wife, good character. And character, 90% of character is what, Mufti Sahib?
Your tongue.
Your tongue. Your tongue.
Your speech.
Your speech. Just remember, if you have nothing good to say, shutting your mouth. Shut it. You have nothing good to say. فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Just stay quiet. Yeah. And why is that so hard? It just, you know, we have to learn to do that. Because you know why? That is character. Don't allow a person with less character or no character to steal away your character. You know? And this is why the best people are those who speak less. It's better to speak less. Sometimes when I'm trying to apply best character in my house, I start speaking less. Right? Then my wife gets skeptical. Why are you talking less? Are you angry? You know, what's wrong? You know, what are you planning something? I was like, no, just, you know, speaking less, you know, text less, reply back less if you don't have nothing good to say. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to stay in the moral of the Prophet's character and embody that. Mufti Sahib, thank you so much, man. I wish we had more time, but we have other places to go, meetings to talk about. Thank you so much, everyone. And inshallah, next Wednesday, behind the scenes, we will be together. And then on Thursday, Mufti Sahib has Family Matters. Friday, we have a special program this Friday Night Live at 9:30. We have a special program for Dhul Hijjah. Mufti Sahib knows what's going on.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. We're not going to tell you the topic. You're going to see the flyer come out on our social media posts in the next 48 hours. And it's going to be the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, which is every single night at 9:30. Mufti Sahib, myself, and we have our great dear Shaykh Masmari. He'll be joining us also. It's going to be special. And please join. It's going to be very special.
We have two series coming on Dhul Hijjah. One is a series that I think we already put the flyer out for. Is one of our scholars, our Miftaah. We're gonna put his name out later. He's gonna be going behind the scenes of the history of the Kaaba and the virtues of the Kaaba. Beautiful. Like you're here this year. We're not going for Hajj. So like imagine we can, every single day for 10 minutes every day will come out in the first 10 days of the Hijjah. You can get a whole behind the scenes of the Kaaba, the history, the virtues of it. So now next time you go, you can actually relish it more, and you can value these moments more. And that's the one in the morning, and it's going to come out every single day. And in the evening at 9:30, Shaykh Abdullah, myself, and Shaykh Masmari, we're going to have a special program for Dhul Hijjah, for the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Inshallah, you'll know the details later. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, and everyone that's listening, please share our content. Please like and follow our social media platforms and keep us in your prayers. Please don't forget to share and make dua for us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good night, everyone.